The throat goat, they've been calling her.
The throat goat.
What is the reference to this? I don't think Brian knows because he doesn't have social media.
Oh, did you not know, Brian, that Nancy Reagan is known as the... This is true. This is old. This is not new. It blew up recently on the internet because some conservative dipshit put a picture of Madonna, who, honestly, it's not the most flattering picture, but it's a picture of Madonna, and she's like,
63.
She's 63, and she's wearing like a bunch of, sexy Madonna clothes. Yeah, I don't know if you know this about Madonna, but she loves to shock us.
Mm-hmm. She is a material girl.
Yeah. But anyway, it was her, and then there was a picture like, this is Madonna at 62, and then it showed a picture of Nancy Reagan. This is Nancy Reagan at 63, and she looked like Nancy Reagan at 63 with 60 kids, and Ronnie standing next to her, and a gleam in her eye at all the people with AIDS that were going to die in part because of her and her husband. And so which is better? And then everybody, basically
the Reagan's pro-AIDS. I'm sorry.
They went out of their way to not do anything about it.
They were close friends with Rock Hudson and then cut him off when they found out he had AIDS.
Yeah, it was very, they kind of went out of it. The AIDS epidemic was at its height. And I don't think Ronald Reagan ever mentioned the word AIDS out loud.
He might have called it grids back when it was called grids.
Gay-related immune deficiency, I think they were calling it.
Yeah.
Anyhoozle. So anyway, it turns out, though, if you read the Kitty Kelly biography of Nancy Reagan was known as the blowjob queen of Hollywood back in the day. She went down on a lot of people. But did you want to know who was the blowjob queen of Hollywood afterwards?
Who was that?
Yvonne DiCarlo, the woman who played
Lily Munster.
Lily Munster. And this is
We've
100%
talked about
true.
this before. This isn't new information. One more reason to like the Munsters, right? Why should am I supposed to dislike someone because they take pleasure? And
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that.
I think this is more pro Munster talk to me. This is
I am going to say that I don't support slut shaming Nancy Reagan, and this is the only area in her life where I will support her. In every other area of her life, she's trash as far as I'm concerned.
Wow.
That's it was a very divided internet because of that, because people, it's hard to really, put down the throat goat. But I don't think they called it throat goat back then. I'm going to go ahead and say that.
Are we sure that she just wasn't someone who was in an age of the casting couch that maybe and unfortunately has never gone away, that she was just merely a young starlet who was taken advantage of by Hollywood producers?
Well, I mean, she was famous for being really good at it, and I guess
is that what all the bigwigs said about her in their smoky boardrooms?
I did not bring this up. Kevin brought it up, and I don't want to step on your toes because I know you have your Reagan bust up next to your desk.
That's right.
You got Nancy on the right. You got Ronnie on the left. And
there's an energy coming off of it right now. I'm getting angry because of it. I'm just furious that
I know how many portraits you have of them up. I know you said this is my royal family. You've looked at them a number of times.
You have all those Rich Hall records where he's impersonating Ronald Reagan.
Oh, my good. Let's get a word from my good friend, Mr. Ronald Reagan.
Celebrity voice impersonated.
Well, no, I don't know. It was just kind of a little kerfuffle there, but I don't know what to make of that. And it's one of those things too, where it's very salacious, and it's been salacious for a long time. So, as much as I don't think that. One, I don't know as much about the Reagans as I'm proposed to as a punk rocker of my age. I don't really know that much. I do know that there's probably a bunch of negative type stuff, but and two, not to defend them at all. I do wonder how much of that kind of a thing would be overblown. But and I also don't want to take too much delight in the idea of owning the, I don't know, they say owning the libs, but I don't know what there's definitely like the counter argument of let's own the squares. I don't know what you call them, the squares, the whatever, but like it is kind of fun, it is that the classic like hypocritical whatever like intense thing they kind of throw out. There's a usually extremely about how the left is morally depraved and whatnot. There's always a fantastic counter to it.
Right.
Oh, sure. People are people, Mike. People are people.
So why should it be? Why should it be that we should get along so awfully? That you and I should get along so awfully.
You and I, yeah. Hey, did I ever tell you about the first shirt? And this is true. The first T-shirt I saw somebody wear that I remembered, other than like that, and I've only seen once. And I, of course, I remember. I'm sure I saw other shirts, and I have vague memories of "I'm was stupid" and all those shirts.
Yeah.
But this shirt, I vividly remember. It was navy blue, and there was a circle, and in the center of the circle, it said 666. And around the outside of the circle, it said Ronald Wilson Reagan, because of course, all the names have 6 letters. So it was one of the greatest things I'd ever. I don't know if I was shocked by it, but I just saw it and I thought. I remember being young enough to think, "Are you allowed to wear stuff like that?"
Yeah,
and then thought that's pretty cool.
When Ronald Reagan was in office, and you guys were, toddlers through barely teenagers, were you pro-Reagan or anti-Reagan or just didn't care?
I was pro-Reagan.
I think I was pro. Just the news was pretty supportive of whoever was president. I didn't watch it. There wasn't a lot of editorializing, so he was just the president. So I didn't know early on. At least I didn't pick up on a lot of. It's not like I followed politics. Yeah, he's a good man.
My dad said he was the good one, and I said okay.
Right.
And I said when are the cartoons on?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what turned me against Reagan. Is every time he went into the hospital for anything, they took cartoons off.
Did he go to the hospital that much? I remember getting shot.
And then he had like a melanoma on his nose, and they turned off Saturday morning cartoons that cover that.
Well, there were only like 4 channels.
Well, no, we actually had 2. 3 if the wind blew just right.
That's real country.
It's true.
That's a good one. That's right. The wind blew the radio waves towards your house.
Hey, I just got off of a Zoom magic show.
Oh
no, you didn't.
I did. It was from the company that I work at. We had a Zoom magic show.
Oh, was it like VR magic?
They did a little bit of augmented reality, but there was a thing of like where we had to like. It was like all these, they sent this in the mail, and it was some sort of thing where you had to pick a person, and then everybody, you pick different people, but it ends up with math that you pick the same guy, and you're like, well, let's just see who far. Look at these wavy lines up close here. What?
Wait, what?
Oh, it's Albert Einstein.
This whole segment works really well.
That's right. For the listener, there are several chevrons on the back of a card that is Mike withdraws it from the camera. An image is revealed, and the image is of one
Alberto Einstein.
Alberto Newman Einstein.
You just called it a chevron. Is that what lines that are crooked are like?
It's a collection of chevrons. Like the one up and down is a chevron, and so there's a bunch of them.
What?
They're chevrons.
Is that the kind of shit they teach you in advanced junior college? What a chevron is?
That's right. No, because I did in the military. You see chevrons on ranks.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which military?
Call them chevrons.
Yep, chevrons.
And the logo of Chevron, the gas, is a thing.
They're chevrons. That's right.
Holy shit. I bet I'm not the only one that didn't know that's listening to this right now.
You know what? I bet you're right. It is one of those things that if you don't ever need to know it, or you don't come across it, you just don't know. But yeah. Chevrons.
So you guys ready to get started here?
Well, do we want to talk about chevrons a little bit more?
I want to talk about chevrons more.
We talk about Reagan. Was Reagan in the military, or was he a coward?
He was an actor.
He was an actor. He did USO.
Did he act his way out? Did he act like he had flat feet? That was a thing back then, right? Flat feet, 4F.
Yeah.
I remember watching a Bugs Bunny cartoon. How terrible how terrible to have a legit disability that kept you out of the military in an era when everyone else was enlisting.
In WWII, that'd be a bad move.
You were made fun of. Like they were hitting bombs, testing them, and if it made a wrong sound, it was a dud, and they stamped 4F on it.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
imagine sitting in a theater like you're getting ready to watch, whatever movie's out, and you're watching a cartoon short right after like News of the World, and then before we get to our feature, before we get to Casablanca, watch this short from our good friends at Warner Brothers. And Bugs Bunny calls you a dud. And your date just looks at you and kind of has this look in her eyes like she knew it. And everybody in the theater like look over their shoulder a little bit.
Then you load her up full of opium and she forgets all about it.
So not only are you a dud, you are also a predator. Like if you weren't involved in World War II.
No, I'm not saying you do anything with her. You just have her hooked on the junk.
That's true. Life's probably a lot easier.
They call you Max the Junk Man.
Max. That sounds like a Stephen King character, Max the Junk Man.
By the way, this is going to be our first episode of 2022.
Oh, boy.
And it's episode number 50, which remember back in episode 10 when Brian said we wouldn't make it to 14?
He was right.
I'm glad you like being wrong, Brian.
No, this is all. They've been listening to Ghost Brian for 37 episodes in a row. Ghost Brian. Hey, what did you guys eat black eyed peas on New Year's Day?
I listened to them. Never gonna not make that joke.
It's also lucky.
I don't like them.
You don't? Why not? They're delicious.
They're disgusting.
Oh man,
the food.
The food. Yeah, the band. They're geniuses. I mean, I worship at the altar of Fergie. I find her Fergalicious. In fact.
What about Will I Am?
Will I Am's pretty great, and I like the other one a lot too.
Right. It's so I hate to be the fourth. Yeah, that's why you get to give yourself a good name, like Will I Am.
Yeah. What a day when he discovered that, when he was just sitting there looking at his written name.
Right. Like tapping his finger on the desk, and his finger just stops and he stares at it. Get in here. Get in here.
Wait, what did you say? Maybe somebody spelled it out. William.
Yeah.
Wait, no. Do that one more time. Will I A. Oh my God.
Gets Fergie on the phone.
Ferguson, wake up.
Ferguson.
Welcome to INS, the International News Service, your source for the most important weird news from across the globe. With news analyst Kevin Harrison, actor, comedian, and musician Mike Wiebe, and professional commentator Brian Camp. INS, the news you need.
Welcome to the International News Service. We're your hosts. I'm Kevin Harrison, along with...
I am Brian Camp.
Oh.
It was real bad timing. I just took a sip.
I hope that timing remains throughout this episode.
Yes, this is it's looking up.
My name is the notorious NFT. I'm getting more and more online. People have described me as being extremely online.
Whoa.
This is Mike Wiebe, and apparently Mr. Mark Ryan ditched us again.
Yeah.
Maybe now it's Mark's. Mark is now taking the role of the junk man, and he's
Mark the Junk Man. Yeah.
You think he has another podcast he's recording and not telling us about?
No, he's slinging opium.
He's slinging brown all over town. One time he got up on top of the Billy Bob's, second floor of Billy Bob's. This is the tallest building in Fort Worth. And he looked around and said, I'm going to paint this town brown.
Mm-hmm.
Our first story comes to us from CNN.
The Clinton News
Network.
The 40-day King Abdulaziz Camel Festival in Saudi Arabia began in early December.
Wait, Jabbar?
Abdulaziz.
Jabbar.
No, King Abdulaziz.
I don't know if this is okay, but I'm laughing.
Played for the Lakers. Was in the movie Airplane.
You're thinking of Kareem Abdul.
You're saying
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh.
King. Okay. Now I get it. I was very confused.
Yeah. Not the basketball player that was on also in the movie Airplane, and that was also rude to me in an airport one time.
Was he?
Yep.
How did that happen? Tell us the story.
I saw him, and me and my friend, we walked up to him. We said, Kareem, and he just looked and he put his giant palm in our face. I mean, he didn't like touch our face, but it was and just like and did that. And we were like, oh no, I guess he didn't really like us.
Mm-hmm. How big was his hand?
It was about the wingspan of a bald eagle.
You should have asked him if he can palm a basketball. It's a funny thing to ask basketball players.
Anyway, the 40-day King Abdulaziz Camel Festival in Saudi Arabia began in early December. The event is a contest that's similar to the Westminster Dog Show, but for camels. Apparently, cheating has been rampant at this year's competition. The event's organizers discovered 147 cases of tampering with camels, including 43 camels that were disqualified after it was discovered they had been injected with Botox.
Oh, no. Wait, but what? To like make their humps bigger?
No, it wasn't.
Their humps?
Their humps?
It wasn't very clear.
They're lovely.
I think it's
lady lumps. Wow, that's an unexpected full circle. Full circle, unexpected. Is it to make their lips bigger when they spit at people?
I hope so. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it's just in general, like, hey, there's a little gap here or something. Like, fill it in with some.
No, I think people like it when they walk with a gap. That's a desirable thing for a camel to have a gap.
I mean, Botox is to smooth out wrinkles. It is.
Yeah. Is it to make their toes bigger? Their camel toes.
I refuse. I can tell you're going through your mental Rolodex of everything you know about camels. Everything you know has camel in it. We're going to hear.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Our 15 listeners in Norway have now canceled. Thanks, Mike.
No. Maybe they don't know what a camel toe is. Maybe they need to.
Yeah. It's a vagina. Mm-hmm. It's when the material of a clothing gets stuffed up in a vagina.
Other violations include braiding or trimming a camel's tail or dyeing the camel to make its fur more vibrant.
That should be illegal. I mean, camels are beautiful on their own. I hate it when people are trying to take away from the natural beauty of a camel.
Think what it does to young camels.
Do they drink the milk?
It doesn't say.
Because you know what they call that? Dromedary.
And we lost all our other listeners.
I'll see myself out.
I'm so proud of you. That might be the best joke I've ever heard. It took us 50 episodes.
This may seem like a lot of trouble to go to for an event that's basically a camel beauty contest. But it's understandable when you realize the event offers more than $66 million in prize money.
How are those camels going to spend all that money?
Well, their owners will spend the money. The camel trainers.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And then you can sell the camels because, if your camel wins, you get like breeding rights and all kinds of stuff.
Wait, you can fuck a camel if it wins?
Well, a camel can fuck a camel.
Well, but camels can do that without winning.
Yeah, I think so. What about a camel? What about a camel's personality?
Right.
Have you ever met a camel? They don't have good personality.
Well, one time when I was adventuring in Cairo,
I met a camel. I met a few, but I met one recently at a Central Texas safari park.
Oh, so I bet it was really mild mannered.
No,
right?
it aggressively I mean, one, they're fucking huge, man. They are probably 8 foot at the hump.
Okay.
Between 6 and 8. I guess 8's pretty big, but at the hump. And they know you're going to fucking feed them, right? And those assholes, their necks are real long. I mean, ostriches are mean, right? But camels are they just don't care. You got to grab their head that's bigger than your head and shove them away from you. And their tongues are going everywhere trying to get at stuff.
That doesn't sound too bad.
That's right.
The last part.
That's right.
Well, I met a camel once too.
Looking for cigarettes.
His name was Joe, and he made me cool.
So I feel bad. I feel like I stepped on your joke. Joe Camel was cool.
Smoking cigarettes. He was cool.
Wasn't it one of the complaints about Joe Camel that his face looked like a dick?
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like the subliminal advertising.
Yeah.
He looked like a camel.
Make you think phallic thoughts. There's all kinds of crazy. They used to always go like, subliminal advertising. There's this ice cube, and in the melting ice, it says the word sex or something.
It was like a Pepsi ad, I think.
Oh, Pepsi cans. The cans would stack up in a way that, Was that Crystal Pepsi?
It was Pepsi, it was a Pepsi promo, like circa 1990.
That seems more like an artist that's having a good time.
I agree. I think most of that is people that are just bored graphic designers.
Yeah.
Like the man in the camel. Remember that on the package in the leg?
Oh, yeah. You could see he looked like he was showing off something.
Was he showing brain?
Proudly.
What?
He was flashing brain?
I don't know. I don't.
No, he was proudly projecting his
erect penis, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
Was he skeeting?
I'm sure he was.
Maybe the moment he lit up.
Right.
Yeah.
Man.
I miss smoking, you guys.
I miss smoking too, man. I was just thinking that.
Maybe he's talking about all these erect dicks, but I miss smoking.
That's right.
cigarettes.
That's right.
I was never a smoker.
I don't know. Just thinking about a camel and the way their faces look like dicks. Just something about that really makes me want to
get
smoke
that
a cigarette.
nicotine fix.
Yeah.
What about the mornings, man? A cigarette and a coffee, man, that was the best. I miss
A
it.
cup of coffee and a cigarette, pretty great. Yeah. I love driving and smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
Because you have the window down, so you're not just like, I never like stewing in smoke, but you got your cup of coffee in the center console. You got hours of driving ahead of you. You got a pack of smokes and maybe a spare in the center console, so you know you're not going to run out.
Yeah.
Listen to music real loud late at night.
Maybe it's time to get back to the news.
Well, this is newsworthy.
This is a human interest piece talking about a time when we didn't have all these flim flam carny men getting on the TV screen saying, "Oh, smoking is bad for you. Oh, you should only have less than 19 shots a night. Oh, vaccines are a real thing that exists."
You tell him, Mike.
But now we're raising a generation of snowflakes. And you know what? They pile up into big snow mounds.
Mm-hmm.
And they all hug each other and go roll down hills, and they become snowballs. And guess what? They run over they get stuck, and they land on top of your Land Rover that your wife says that you don't need, but you need it. You take a lot of stuff home in that Land Rover, and now it's covered in snow. And you got a convertible Land Rover because fuck it, man.
Why get a Land Rover if it's
life's for living? Now it's covered in snow with everything because of these snowflakes. I just want to have a stogie, a drink out of a can that I pulled the tab off, and then I just threw that little pull tab. Maybe I used the pull tab to fucking get a free phone call from a payphone.
Oh, yeah.
And no women. No women anywhere.
No. Oh, yeah.
Anywhere.
So our next story comes to us from WFAA Channel 8 in Dallas.
You know who's on WFAA? Dale Hansen.
Dale Hansen.
Not anymore. He retired.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he used to be.
He was the progressive voice of Dallas news that always freaked out our parents because they otherwise liked
They
him.
didn't. Not always. I think that was a later development in his career.
Yeah, it just suddenly became like, what the hell is wrong with you? Be nice to
He was
people.
locally famous for being lit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Until June 2020, Dallas's Pioneer Park Cemetery was home to a now removed Confederate War Memorial. All that remained of the memorial was the concrete slab where it once stood, until mid-December, that is, when a mysterious statue was discovered bolted to the site.
Hey, Kevin, I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm going to interrupt briefly because we have international listeners, and I realize
Yes.
something. Like, they hear about Confederate War memorials, they may not know that most of them, while awful, and I'm glad they're going away, like some con artists, since a bunch of con artists should go through the South and sell like these identical statues that are just kind of that could be any type of soldier you wanted them to be, and that's normally what you see being. Is that what this is?
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm proud to be an American.
The statue.
At least I know I'm free.
And I won't forget the man who died. Gave that right to me. So I'm glad I stand up next to you and take a big old piss. I always thought that song was about a guy that regained the use of his legs in order to use a urinal at a Texas Rangers game.
Oh, yeah. That would be the first thing you did, I think, if you got use of your legs back. How good would that feel?
You get a big. Somebody goes and they give you a beer, and then you finish it, and you're just like, you start to move in your seat, and your big old wife's like, let me get him for you, honey, and you're like, no. As you're and then right when you get up there, right as you stand up, and then right when all that fucking sweet nectar starts leaving your member, that second it comes out.
Sweet nectar.
The second it comes out, Nolan Ryan hits a home run grand slam.
Just so wrong.
So back to the news. The Confederate memorial was removed. There was a big concrete slab, and then suddenly a mysterious statue was found bolted to it.
Can I just say this real quick? They should have put a fucking skate park on there.
Yeah, I'll stand by that. Yeah, that would have been better.
The statue, which came with an accompanying that was great. Which came with an accompanying.
That's tough.
I can't say this
Mark,
now.
leave these
I
in
practiced
because these
like
are hard to
10
say. I
times
like
today,
this.
and it was never an issue. The statue, which came with a plaque, portrayed 19th century Dallas pioneer Sarah Horton Cockrell, except the statue depicted Cockrell with an octopus for a head.
That is super cool.
Awesome.
Sarah Horton Cockrell was a Texas businesswoman who was known for her contributions to the economic and infrastructural development of early Dallas. The plaque also claimed the statue was created by an anonymous Dallas artist named Solomon and was a gift to the city of Dallas by deceased oil tycoon T. Boone Pickens.
This is awesome. I like everything about this.
Nearby security guards did not notice the installation of the statue and said security cameras captured 4 people installing the statue, but they couldn't give more details because the camera angle was partially blocked.
Yeah, what?
Why would you do that? Why?
That sucks.
This is Dallas. Of course they did. They were like, "Oh, you can't use our concrete slab that we're not
Use
using."
the proper channels to get art put up.
I hate mind flayers. They're neutral evil.
Avid D&D player got freaked out.
They have psionic abilities that make it hard for all our other characters.
Maybe that's why they didn't see this getting installed as they were playing D&D.
Their culture does not align with ours.
Oh, that's too many experience points to try and defeat them. Their hit dice is off the charts.
This is not the first time a statue like this has appeared in Dallas either. In October 2019, a similar statue appeared bolted to a nearby stretch of road which featured City of Dallas founder John Neely Bryan with the head of an octopus. And it was accompanied by a plaque that claimed Dallas was a, quote, shared delusion.
I don't know what that means. It's almost too silly, but I
love
like
it. That's awesome, man. And even though I'm sure it's made up, I kind of want to believe that T. Boone Pickens was somehow involved.
Yeah.
That was his Dale Hansen moment.
Yeah.
Of like, you know what? I'm finally at a point in my life. I'm going to die soon. I built all these.
He's already dead.
This is before he died.
Well,
though,
maybe he put that in his will.
Trust.
I want a bunch of octopus statue heads to go up all over town.
Built all those wind farms. He made a ton of money. I'm sure he did some awful things. Everybody does. But maybe this was his chance at redemption. Or maybe he had nothing to do with it. Either way, I sure do like statues with octopus heads.
Yeah.
That sucks. Like I want to live somewhere, and I don't know that there's a place anywhere in the U.S. that wouldn't remove that statue.
Maybe Santa Fe.
Seattle has that Lenin statue that somebody just dumped in like a kind of an open area in the city. They just left it there for like 30 years.
I think there was a time that you could get away with that stuff. I just think now, everybody's so far up their own ass, they wouldn't just have fun with it.
The mind flare, bigotry.
Yeah, it's a different angle, but sure.
It's just, it's just such. It's they've been misaligned by Dungeons and Dragons manuals for so long. It's always this. They're chaotic evil or they're lawful evil, and it's just not true. They're a spectrum of different things. I mean,
right.
They're transdimensional.
So they're related to Big Feet.
Well, they are. I mean, they're of the same, descent. I don't know that they're as, fetishistic as they are. It's just gone on too long.
Could a mind flayer create, say, a mass delusion of a city? Maybe a really powerful mind flayer.
I mean, it'd have to be real. They'd have to be on a Starjammer, which is a floating ship that looks like a galleon that floats through space.
Oh, no.
So they would have to have a very powerful Starjammer that is floating high above the city of, let's just say, Dallas with some sort of celestial solar sails that are projecting some sort of a ray down upon the entire city, creating a delusion where... and maybe that part of that delusion is maybe a lot of these women that are walking around, they're mind flayers. They've got tentacles that they're wrapping up on top of their heads. But to us, with this delusion going on, it just looks like they have big white lady Dallas bitch hair.
Oh, is this like They Live? Is this a?
It's very similar. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's a sort of similar situation.
So maybe a Rowdy Roddy Piper type then is who came up with the revealing statues.
I would say a Jack Wharton type.
Oh, well, I was thinking about this.
The remakes of the works.
Who's in Texas and has sort of a spaceship? Elon Musk.
Yeah, but he's a fucking nerd. He can't do anything.
Yeah.
He's not a mind flayer. He's a nerd.
That's true. He wouldn't create these cool statues.
His wife, though.
He'd claim credit for it.
Which one? Doesn't he have two wives? Or wait, no,
his lady left him.
Grimes.
Yeah.
I have no idea what she looks like.
She looks like somebody threw a bunch of colored glitter at Bjork.
Oh.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
All right.
Somebody shot up Bjork with a bunch of paintballs and then threw glitter on her.
Have you guys listened to Bjork lately?
No.
Not that bad.
I
respect Bjork. Yeah. Very talented.
Something that's kind of fun to go back to.
Icelandic elf.
Apropos of nothing.
So our next story comes to us from Futurism, which is a science and technology blog.
A blog? Is that what we've been reduced to?
Well, it's a website. It's a website.
Well, what's the difference between a blog and a website?
Good question.
I think a blog would be an individual or small group of people, just kind of saying, today I went for a walk.
Let me ask you this.
And saw science. And this is, literally, they like research and do interviews and stuff.
Is
more of a news source. Is
our use of this blog similar to a different group citing to us as a source?
What?
Like, I'm curious how good of a source this is. Is it the equivalent
I checked
of
it out.
the International News Service being cited by some other group?
Well, let's put it this way. I looked up the guy's the subject of this. I looked up his videos. They do exist. I found him on LinkedIn.
Corroboration.
Yeah, I do my research.
And
Okay?
I don't doubt you. No one's accusing you.
I
That's
say
right.
to myself, Brian is going to ask a stupid question, and I need to have a smart answer.
Well, that feels good. Thanks.
I didn't think that was a stupid question. I thought.
Thank you, Mike.
And I do think a lot of people use us as their primary news source, and
Well, that is
That's
true.
the goal, right?
I want to honor those people by asking them to give me money.
Yeah.
Get on our Patreon.
Last year, a Hungarian software engineer and neuroscientist named Victor Toth launched a new project with one simple goal.
A Hungarian what?
Hungarian software engineer and neuroscientist.
You can't do both. You can't major in both of those.
Tell that to the Hungarians, okay?
What's his name?
Victor
So
Toth.
he's a future villain then, right?
Yeah, that is a villain name. Toth! When you find your wife murdered. Toth!
But he launched a new project with one simple goal. He wanted to teach rats to play the classic 1994 video game Doom 2.
That seems like that's worthy of a neuroscientist slash software. Yeah, that put your energy to that. We don't have a planet that's dying rapidly.
Right.
It definitely sounds like the early start of a supervillain.
Yeah.
First, he created a stationary polystyrene ball that could be easily rolled in any direction, which he connected to sensors. Then he put a rat in a harness on top of the ball, so when the rat moved, those moves would be translated into game movements. So it's like a rollerball. It's like playing Centipede, right?
Like a trackball?
Yeah, like a track
Like
ball.
Millipede.
Yeah, Centipede or Millipede.
But probably more like Millipede.
More like Millipede.
The rat then, or track and field. Track and field had.
Or
the
what
rollerball.
about Missile Command?
No, that had like a dial, didn't it?
No.
No.
It had buttons. That's right.
What? No, it had a rollerball.
Anyway,
Track
In a
ball.
rollerball, you gotta do the place where it's gonna.
Right. Yeah. You
missiles are gonna
move the reticle where you wanted to fire your defensive
Reticle?
missiles.
oh, Missile Command. I was thinking
Yeah,
of.
What's a reticle?
That's
Is
the
that like a
thing.
chevron?
It's
You know what? A reticle really is like two chevrons, one upside down, facing each other.
it is. It's two chevrons towards your reticle.
Shit, what is happening today?
Right.
This is
Start thinking about herringbone in a little bit. Blow your mind.
that like dog's tooth?
It's a pattern like that. Yeah. Houndstooth, I think, is what they call it. Or
Houndstooth,
buffalo
yeah.
check. That's one. I don't know
Buffalo
much
check.
about textiles. I wish I knew more.
Maybe you could learn about that when we're not recording.
Well, maybe you could
this for
find
an
more
audience.
stories about textiles.
About textiles or goods or
Yeah.
importing and exporting.
That's right.
Well, I got rats playing Doom.
Well, that's good too.
That is actually a pretty
Right.
good story.
The rat, so he did, he had this polystyrene ball, then he put the rat in a harness on top of it. The rat then had a monitor placed in front of it so it could see the game, and it received sugary water as a treat whenever it did the right thing, such as walking down a corridor in the game. He reprogrammed the game so that doors would open upon touch, and to shoot, the rats have to push a button with their nose, which is then rewarded with more sugary water. According to the creator Victor Toth, quote, "The idea just came out of basically nowhere. I was just like, why not?"
I feel like there's if he gave that question some time,
Yeah,
he might have come up with some answers.
This is the groundwork of him trying to figure out how to get a dog to lick his balls without peanut butter. You know, a dog to lick his asshole or something.
When asked why, he just simply said, "Why not?"
Why not?
That is a Victor Toth move.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the same. This is the same response he gives to like why he hooked a car battery up to his genitals and nipples. Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
So is he contemporaries with Dr. Mecton?
Yeah, he's probably. I bet they go to some sort of supervillain fucking retreat type situation.
My friend Iva.
Iva.
It's good to see you. Just compare
They
atrocities.
both have little fucking deformed manservants with them.
That's where Crag came from.
Yeah, well,
Toth also said he wanted to learn more about brain-computer interfaces while showcasing the potential insights researchers could gather through similar experiments.
They've been running rats through mazes for decades.
When are we going to get over this?
Yeah,
rat maze shit.
Yeah.
Now they're shooting imps and cacodemons.
You've played Doom. That is Doom confirmation. They are called. That's one of those things I don't think I've ever said out loud. Cacodemon. Is that what they are?
I don't know if it's pronounced that way or not, but it's definitely spelled that way.
They put so much work into that lore that I do not ever read.
Yeah.
I actually, the last couple I read only because I found that if I don't play any one game for that long at a time, I can, and I use that to be the deciding factor when I quit, when I stop caring about any of the lore tablets and things you find in a game. Yeah. I say, I've played enough then I quit. Yeah. So it's a nice little control mechanism. Maybe Toast
I got right to the end of that new Doom Eternal and just kind of quit playing.
Yeah, I mean, those
got kind of at some point I was like, yeah, this is just same pattern, different thing.
Maybe 2 hours too long.
But what is that thing where you get to the because I do the same thing. I get to the end of games and I just there has to be a word for it. If Mark hadn't bailed on us, he could probably tell us.
Yeah.
He plays so many games.
Because it didn't get hard. It didn't get any harder. I just kind of was like, I'm sure this is about done, but what are they gonna do? Just fucking
right. Music was good in it. I enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, all that new metal.
Yeah.
Love it. All that trap.
Yeah, it was great.
Speaking of playing video games, Toth also said he plans to launch a Twitch channel where people can watch the rats playing games.
Jesus Christ.
But that may be a long way off since the rats are still learning to do basic tasks like walking down a hallway or shooting at specific targets. And 15 minutes is the longest he's ever had a rat play Doom 2.
Has he got a grant for this? Is this grant funded somehow?
No, he built it himself. Let me see.
This guy
give me a second.
100% plays Leisure Suit Larry.
You think that's the end game for the rats, or do you think that's
probably
just...
Yeah, right. Probably he wants to get rats smart enough to make women take off their clothes.
Mm-hmm.
He said he financed the setup himself, and he said it cost less than $2,000.
Well, why not? I feel like that's an answer right there. It cost $2,000
in Hungarian dollars. He probably had to sell a child though in Hungary for that.
How is Hungary? Do we know anything about? Do we have any Hungarian listeners?
I mean, I know. I mean, I'm going to say that they're famished.
No, I don't think we've ever had. We've had a couple Romanian listeners. I don't think we've ever had.
Hitting on all cylinders today.
Do you think Romanians know that they're most famous for their terrible orphanages?
No, they're most famous for Bela Lugosi.
Well, maybe to you. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure more people have heard of Bela Lugosi than have heard of a Romanian orphanage.
Oh, I bet not. I bet if you did like a word association, that'd be interesting. And you said Romania, I think a statistically significant number of people would say orphanage.
Yeah, if you said Dracula, they'd say Bela Lugosi.
Transylvania. Did Bela Lugosi play Dracula?
You didn't really ask that. I'm just going to
I thought he was like a ballet guy. Wasn't he like a famous...
You thinking of...
No. Like, seriously, he was...
Are you thinking about Rudolph Valentino? Because he wasn't a ballet guy either. He was just a famous...
No. Rudolph Valentino was like a heartthrob, right? A rich heartthrob.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. See?
And he had a dog named Satan.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Like the Dragon Ball Z character, right? Wasn't there a Satan in Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah, but he was just a blowhard.
All right. Just like that dog.
Well, there were videos of that dog servicing Linda Lovelace.
Linda Lovelace was serviced by a dog? Has that happened?
Yeah.
So our next story comes to us from The Guardian.
Oh, what are they guarding?
I mean, I can put it on the screen right now. It's on my desktop.
We just have it ready to go at all times. It's your screensaver.
I've never seen it. Maybe it is rumor.
I've never heard that.
You never? That's definitely
that
is new information to me.
Rumor. And I think it might be more than a rumor. I think it's
more than the Rod Stewart thing we've discussed in the past.
That really happened.
Well, that happened.
That happened. Okay.
And
Yes.
and I already said why it was so hard to get all that out of there. For the listener, Rod Stewart got a whole bunch of semen stuck, like 10 gallons, and they couldn't get it out.
Yeah.
You think they could throw it up, but cum is very sticky. So,
How did it get in there, Mike?
I mean, any which way but loose. You know what I'm saying?
Just trying to break Nancy Reagan's record, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh,
She set a record.
impressive.
She set a record for the most hated first lady by punk rockers.
She was pretty much hated
true.
by everyone, I think. She was not well liked.
I think she was beloved by our parents.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure.
I don't think that she wasn't like an aspirational first lady. I mean, I don't think has anybody ever liked a first lady except for Jackie O, and maybe like the left seemed to kind of like Michelle Obama, but I can't remember anybody being like, man, these first ladies, they're really killing it.
Right. Didn't they like Roosevelt? Eleanor?
Oh, yeah, Eleanor Roosevelt.
What did she do?
I think she was just kind of cool. Wasn't she kind of cool?
Like a humanitarian and philanthropist.
Lady Bird Johnson, I think, was liked more than her husband.
Probably.
Well, certainly in Texas.
Anyway, back to the news. Our next story comes to us from The Guardian. Since at least February 2020, conspiracy theorists on social media have repeatedly cited alleged links between COVID-19 and 5G mobile networks. As a result, a quantum pendant industry has cropped up, claiming that these pendants, which emit ionizing radiation, are the best way to neutralize 5G signals.
Is this true, Brian? As a quantum magician?
Yeah, Brian.
Such pendants have existed for a while. I am dubious of the mass marketing and mass creation of these pendants. They're typically imbued with a lot of magic, and that's magic CK.
Obviously,
right. There's always been a lot of charlatans in the quantum magician field. So
and not only over here, but over there is Charlatans UK.
That's correct.
Wow. True.
And
proud of yourself.
So proud of a joke that, I mean, I was even wondering if y'all were going to get that. So
no, I got it.
Unfortunately, the Dutch Nuclear Authority seems to agree with Brian, as they have researched these pendants and determined they emit potentially dangerous amounts of radiation.
Right. That's
the authority,
a classic sign of bad work by a quantum magician or using a real amateur. So.
Radiation. I mean, that's okay. What would you buy from a mind flare?
The authority stated, quote, exposure to ionizing radiation can cause adverse health effects and can damage tissue and DNA. They added that, quote, someone who wears a product of this kind for a prolonged period, a year, 24 hours a day, could expose themselves to a level of radiation that exceeds the stringent limit of skin exposure that applies in the Netherlands. As a result, the Netherlands has banned these pendants. The World Health Organization has investigated 5G and determined that it is safe and is in no way fundamentally different than the signals emitted by 4G or 3G.
Who did that?
The World Health Organization.
Yeah, but
who? God damn it. Pete Townsend, Roger Daltrey, Keith Moon.
Yeah. Who?
And John Entwistle.
Oh.
Is that better?
Third base. Fucking, I saw this on my own earlier, and here's what I'm disappointed in. I'm disappointed in me. I'm like legitimately mad at myself. I haven't figured out how to grift money off these ding dongs. Yep. And I've said that before on here. That's not a new thing, but like, just like, I mean, why not go buy a bunch of plastic spider rings and go like, spiders, the fucking, you know what? COVID is scared of spiders. And this is fake spiders. You can't have a real, man. They're so fucking stupid. And I could be, and not even so much like, oh, I get rich. It's more just like I make money off of their stupidity.
Right.
Right.
I always thought you could fool people with some kind of like pendant that was just like a plain like river pebble that, you know, you just, and then you sell it with an oil. And the idea is that you have to, like, once a week, you got to make sure and activate the pebble with the oil.
Yeah.
And it's like you give people a task to do.
Yes.
And then they believe they're doing something to protect themselves from the 5G.
Whatever. You know, I mean, you just
COVID
pick out
beans.
whatever demon, whatever, you know, scary thing that a bunch of people are going to glom onto because they're
liberals.
Mm-hmm.
Which is so crazy because, like, any of these things, like the pendant or whatever, if you were to put any sort of, like, you know, if it became fashionable for somebody on the left to wear this dubious thing, then they would be like, oh, it's not Christian. It's so awful. You know, there's just this weird, such a weird.
Or if you can get it to catch on, if you can get the pebble and oil to catch on, then you create a different company that sells satirical pebbles and oils.
Yeah. To make fun of them.
To make fun of them. And so you get the whole other crowd that, like, man.
Yeah.
So you go, so what I'm hearing is you start off with the serious crowd and then you make it ironic and transition to the irony.
No, you
crowd.
don't ever transition. You just sell both under shell companies and you make money off each other. You're like Clint Eastwood and Fistful of Dollars, playing each side off each other. And then you go and you smoke your cigarillo.
So is this like truck nuts?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Are they ironic? Are they serious? You just hate your penis so much you got to hang.
They're both, and yes,
that's
I
what I'm
do
saying,
hate
like
it.
the same thing.
What do I here's the thing that keeps me from doing any of this, and it's simply effort. And God,
so it's not like morals.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Living with yourself.
I think there would be nothing wrong with, you know, especially if you're not inspiring them to any kind of violence, because I think that would be kind of shitty. Because, you know, I mean, essentially it's what Alex Jones does, but he has the whole inspiring them to, like, violence and, like, you know, mania on the side. But, like, you know, just like having a little side gig where you're selling, like, you know, you're selling this is a little vial of Jesus's sweat or whatever, you know, and there's no way, like, this is pure saint sweat or something, and there's nobody's getting hurt. It's just water, and you say if you believe in it, it's gonna work, and then you're just never.
Oh, you know, Mike, they say that, like, every breath you take has at least one molecule from Julius Caesar's last breath, right? Because of the way that air disperses. And so, like, you kind of capitalize on that, and so it's scientific certainty. From then
any of his breaths or just his last
his last breath, like one breath.
Oh.
And you capitalize on that, and you sell, like, something that you 100% guarantee has Jesus' dying breath inside of it.
Yeah.
And you don't even hide the fact that, of course, every breath you take, but it's the fact that you've labeled it as such, and you're revering it because you're acknowledging that this is of the final breath of.
I could even sell it to myself as some kind of an art project that I'm doing and not feel any moral quandary.
No, like, people sell. I mean, Dr. Pepper's delicious, but it ain't fucking good for you. It's not a health drink. It's bad for you. Like, it's objectively bad for you.
It's Dr. Pepper.
It tastes good, but I'm just saying there's no shortage of people that are profiting off things that are bad. This is just neutral. It's not bad for you. It's just a neutral thing for you. I think we're doing a net good.
Why would it be called doctor if it wasn't good for you?
And I think we would be giving hope to the hopeless. And I don't know. I don't know. Kevin, Dr. Pemberton started Dr. Pepper. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also there's bad doctors. Dr. Giggles. Dr. Giggles.
Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom. Dr. Demento.
Dr. Strange.
No, he's the good doctor.
Dr. J.
He has a funny last name.
Or Dr. Chapstick, if you prefer.
I think Dr. Jekyll was good. It was Mr. Hyde.
Mr. Hyde, yes, was the...
Yeah, Mr. Hyde is bad.
Mm-hmm.
So this episode airs on January 5th. Does anybody have anything coming up?
God, I don't know if I can say it, if it's for sure going to happen. I think I'm going to be performing in the San Francisco Sketch Fest.
Oh, hey, man, that's awesome.
Wow.
On the 18th. But so hopefully I'm going to be doing some jokes in San Francisco. But we'll see. We'll see if it happens. And then I don't really have anything in January as of yet. But every Tuesday night, I've got the great show. It's called Excelsior. It's called Excelsior. It's not called Abracadabra. It's not called Alakazam. It's called Excelsior. And we have, it starts at 9 o'clock, Buzzmill East. What?
It could be called those things. Could be.
But we decided not to name it those things, and we called it Excelsior.
Okay.
So I think that wraps up another week of the International News Service. Find us across social media at International News Pod. Email us at internationalnewspod@gmail.com. Write us a review somewhere, anywhere. And by the way, I just read today that Spotify is going to have podcast reviews. So write us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Facebook, or tell people what you think about us on Yelp. Check out our merch store at Redbubble and our Patreon. We'll see you next week.
Yelp.
Trying to be relevant.
Well, all right. That's good.
Thank you for listening to the International News Service. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. INS, the news you need.